So on a February morning in 1962, a young Marine pilot climbed into a tiny space capsule and, well, showed the United States that it wasn't out of the space race yet. I'm Matt Hasquin. I'm a high school history teacher, and I'm here to take you through Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire, line by line. And we're right up now to, well, John Glenn. When Billy Joel sings of John Glenn, he's pointing to the Marine aviator who became the first American to orbit the Earth, and he became the face of the Mercury Project, and it's the promise that that project brought about. John Glenn's road to, well, his path to getting into orbit started with thousands of flight hours. He had fighter missions in World War II and Korea, and then he had a record-setting transcontinental jet run. He was picked as one of the Mercury 7 in 1959, and he trained to fly a spacecraft that was a little bigger than a phone booth, if you remember what those are. And that capsule was also quite simple, on its purpose. It was a small capsule, it had a heat shield, it had retro rockets, and a few instruments that a pilot could actually use. On February 20th of 1962, Mercury Atlas 6, called Friendship 7, that was the call sign. The Atlas booster will roar to life from Cape Canaveral, and John Glenn settled into 3 laps around the planet. He reported sunrise in seconds, city lights at night, and then the fireflies, which were tiny particles that were just glinting outside the window that turned out to be frozen condensation. America watched in classrooms where they wheeled in TV sets, and news anchors were tracking the path of the capsule. Midway through the mission, a warning light suggested that the heat shield might be loose. Controllers told him to keep the retro pack strapped on during reentry, kind of like belt and suspenders as a form of insurance. And so the pack burned with the capsule in a shower of sparks, while Glenn rode to a steep, hot glide through the atmosphere. The parachute deployed, and he splashed down safely. Recovery crews hauled the capsule aboard, and ticker tape parades followed, and school kids learned about the word orbit, what it meant. Glenn never flew Mercury again. NASA rotated through the program while he became its most public face. He later took another public job. He became a U.S. Senator from Ohio. He served there for 24 years. In 1998, at the age of 77, he flew again on Space Shuttle Discovery as part of a science mission, kind of a victory lap, and a reminder that the space story is, well, it's a human story first. So, why is his name in the song? Why is it about this 1961-62, run into space? Well, because John Glenn was proof of concept. He was a pilot in a pressure suit, and he was basically, all of our nerves, our nation's nerves, packed into that capsule wearing a headset. And that capsule that eventually came home, while there was some stress happening here, it still all happened, and it happened in the right ways. He made the space age feel kind of personal. When you tie it back to the song, Billy Joel tags the day that an American finally orbited Earth. The Soviets had beat us there with Yuri Gagarin, and then the confidence that John Glenn brings followed in classrooms and labs, as people watched in their living rooms. And the reason why it matters is that John Glenn shows how engineering and training and public trust meet in a single mission. The data fed the next flights. You have an image of a smiling pilot with his helmet under his arm, and, well, it fed a generation's belief that, going to space was possible. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like, a comment, a follow, any of those things that you throw in at the end. And we're going to continue with the song, because in the next episode, we're going to go with Liston Beats Patterson. Thanks for watching.